everyone, welcome to this special edition of Balitang Australia. I'm Gigi Grande. Tonight we look back at the biggest stories that rocked the Filipino-Australian community in 2009.
The year started with predictions of doom and mass layoffs. But as the year progressed, we saw signs of hope. I am Carmela, Trinidad-Sison.
There were success stories too that gave Filipinos reason to be proud. I'm Chito, Javier.
As well as stories that reminded us that whilst the crime rate in Australia is low compared to other countries, crime can happen anywhere. I'm Ania, Aquino.
We'll also be remembering the different occasions Filipino-Australians came together to help those in need. I'm Jerome, Somodio.
Stay tuned as we revisit the stories that made an impact in the lives of Filipino-Australians. You're watching Balitang Australia's special edition. Media serves as the watchdog of society. It plays a crucial role in propelling action by reporting about abuses committed by those in authority. The case of Philippine Labor Attaché Victor Julio Ablan was one of the most talked about issues in the Filipino-Australian community in 2009, and it was proof that media can effect change. Filipino-Australians began whispering about the Philippine Labor Attaché to Australia a year ago. He was allegedly borrowing money from the very people he was sent here to serve. By 2009, Victor Julio Ablan had borrowed thousands of dollars from Filipinos, Australians, and Americans across 4 different states. The Philippine Embassy recommended the urgent recall of Ablan, but 1 month later, he still kept his post. It was only after Balitang Australia reported about Ablan's unpaid obligations that the Labor Department ordered Ablan's return to the Philippines. Since then, a number of Filipino-Australian victims have surfaced. Val Valdez was not afraid to face the camera.
Ablan with a family Ablan, plus he's a diplomat, and he knows I'm a community leader. I mean, akala ko naman, hindi naman kami lolokohin. So I obliged na, pahiramin siya kasi sabi niya, only for 10 days, he's gonna pay me back.
Much of Ablan's debts remain unpaid today. But the Philippine Embassy says it's doing everything to help the victims.
Yung alam ko na mga pinagkautangan niya, including yung inupahan niya, we are asking DOLE to act on it para naman ma-even off naman yung mga bagay na yun.
Ablan has never issued a response. Valdez can only hope that Filipinos learn from this unfortunate experience. Up next, Filipinos were among the many casualties of the global recession in 2009. Jobs were lost and dozens were compelled to return home.
Ang pag-celebrate.
It's been a tough year. In 2009, the full impact of the global recession was felt across the world. Many lost their jobs, including Filipinos. Still, we were quick to show resilience in the face of a spiraling economy. News about the termination of 75 Filipinos at a big shipping company in Perth in November 2008 signaled the global recession had hit Australia. Soon, thousands of Australians and foreign workers lost their jobs in the retail, mining, manufacturing, construction and service sector. A number of Filipinos were forced to go home. But in Townsville, northern Queensland, many were outraged to learn that a Filipino lost his job. Not because of the economic slump, but because of his toilet habits.
Sinabi ko sa kanya, sir, kaming mga Pilipino, ugali namin ang maghugas ng aming puwet after ng pupo namin. Lahat halos ng Pilipinong trabahador dito, ganun ang ginagawa.
But some areas seem to hold up better than expected. ABS-CBN found a quiet little town called Roma in Queensland, where the unemployment rate was low and the demand for Filipino workers high.
We can't get Australians to fill these jobs, so without the Filipino workers, these businesses would close, and it would be a loss, not only for our community, but for Australia as a whole.
There was also the story of Michelle Chung, who found herself jobless after being made redundant in the design industry. Michelle turned her situation around by setting up her own shoe business. Business is starting to look good.
So when you're actually walking, they shouldn't slide off.
The good news doesn't stop there. The Philippines and South Australia are finalising a memorandum of understanding so the Philippines can be included in South Australia's development plan. Once that's signed, it virtually guarantees employment up to 50,000 OFWs over the next 10 years.
So that's roughly about 5,000 jobs a year. And it may not sound like much, but it's a good start considering the recession isn't quite over just yet. We don't often report about crimes here on Balitang, Australia, and that's because crimes involving Filipinos down under are few and far between. But one story that did capture the attention of Filipinos and Australians down under is the story of an elderly man, Magno Alvarado. Two crime stories made headlines on Balitang, Australia last year. 43-year-old Danilo Ginga was charged with the murder of TNT Lovina Dayang in Melbourne. And in Sydney, 23-year-old Joey De Mesa was charged over a series of sex attacks and was later released after police admitted it had made a mistake. But the biggest crime story this year involves 67-year-old Filipino-Australian Magno Alvarado, who was bashed to death as he went on an early morning stroll in Cronulla, in Sydney South. Witnesses say a 23-year-old Australian spat racial insults against Japanese as he attacked Alvarado, a full-blooded Filipino.
I've been living in Cronulla over 12 years, and it's a great community. But it was just tragic that there was one bad egg.
Alvarado's attacker has been charged with murder and will appear in court on the 28th of January. Up next, we look at the stories that made Filipinos proud in 2009.